friends, this is Tony Cañas, and today I want to talk to you about talent hoarding. So what is talent hoarding and how can we prevent talent hoarding, or best prevent talent hoarding? So talent hoarding is, and I quote, where individual managers take purposeful action to ensure that their top talent remains on their team longer than is good for the company or the employee. And I'll include the link to the article that I got the definition from, and a lot of the things that I'm going to talk about from. Talent hoarding is where managers go out of their way to hold back employees. I lived this myself at a very early stage in my career. I was in the claims call center at an insurance carrier that treated me really fantastically in general. After the required 6 months in the call center, I applied for another position within the company, within underwriting. And I was told directly they couldn't lose me from the call center because I was the only Spanish speaker on staff, and whenever I was not on duty, they were paying $2 a minute to AT&T for translation services. So because of that, it was impractical to lose me, at least until they had some fellow Spanish speakers. Now, I was very lucky in that this manager told me that directly. Most people just don't know that they're being talent hoarded. But basically, talent hoarding is when managers hold back employees that would benefit in ways that are negative both to the employee and the company, where that employee growing to a different department would be a positive thing for the company and for the employee, and the manager is selfishly keeping them back. So what is the problem with talent hoarding? Well, first of all, it leads to increased turnover because of employee frustration. Number two, it leads to a lack of cross-fertilization among the business units, which dramatically slows innovation. Number three, it leads to the company not realizing the real depth of its bench strength, and potentially even spending money in bringing in a third-party recruiter like us when it really wasn't needed, because they did have the bench strength. They just didn't realize it because managers were hoarding talent. And finally, number four, it's a hidden problem because no manager is going to admit to talent hoarding. It would look really bad on them to admit it. So why do managers do it? Well, number one, they're not measured on it. That is the number one problem. People do what you measure. If you are getting measured on the aggregate numbers of your team, and you have some A players that are always delivering on the numbers and helping you hit your own numbers, and you are not being measured people growing from your team, then unfortunately the incentives are set wrong and you are being incentivized to talent hoard. Number two, not being rewarded for being a launching pad of amazing talent. So it would really be beneficial for every insurance company to part of the way they measure managers at every level from the top to the bottom is how good those managers are at growing their people into the rest of the company, how good they are at creating positive turnover, which I'm defining as turnover where somebody's leaving my team to grow within the company, to go to a better place within the company, to a higher level place within the company. So if the manager's not being rewarded and measured for being a launching pad, then why would they do it, right? Unfortunately, many of them won't. Also, hoarding talent allows them to hit the KPIs that they're measured on. In most cases, managers are measured simply as an aggregate of the KPIs of their team, right? So if the team is measured on the number of claims they handled this year or this month, or the number of calls they answered, the manager's probably measured on the aggregate of the team, not on being a launching pad for great talent within the company. Also, talent hoarding helps a manager avoid the chore of hiring and training new talent. Hiring is painful. There are significant costs to having an absence in your team, significant costs in performance, and you're going to have to take some time to hire a replacement and then to train them, and it'll be a long time before that person is at the level of your A players, even if they have the potential to do it. And finally, the last reason that managers do it is because they have a fear that they won't be able to replace the person that they would lose because of hiring freezes or budgets, right? So we saw that a lot in 2020 with COVID, where managers were not allowed to replace people that had left because budgets were frozen. Well, if you're afraid that you might not be able to replace the person and you'll still have to force your team to get the work done, then it makes perfect sense that you would hoard your best people and keep them within the company. So some solutions to avoid talent hoarding and to ameliorate the problem of talent hoarding. Number one, allowing employees to refer top colleagues for internal openings without required manager approval. Many companies require manager approvals from the current manager for an employee to be able to apply in a different area. That sets the wrong incentive where a manager defensively can start avoiding allowing employees to apply for internal openings, even though that would be better for both the employee and the company. So one way to do that is by allowing the team to nominate or to refer their colleagues for higher level roles rather than depending on the manager being the one allowing it. And I get the idea. The idea of the manager giving authorization for an internal move is because the manager knows this person's performance better than anybody else. The reality is their teammates know this person's performance probably even better than the manager. Also, number two, 360-degree surveys might reveal talent hoarding, managers that are talent hoarding. So basically, by instituting 360-degree surveys where not only people are reviewed by their managers, but also by their peers and by the people that they manage, by their directs, you keep seeing some managers' directs confidentially sharing that the manager is talent hoarding, then you're a lot more likely to discover the problem. Finally, also number three, you could run stats to find whether there are some managers that have a disproportionate percentage of employees that are rated just below the threshold needed for promotion. So basically, in some companies, your rating at the end of the year needs to be at a certain level to be able to post for a different role or to qualify for a promotion. A manager could purposely keep too many people just under that threshold in order to avoid losing them. That could easily be revealed if you ran stats on that. Another thing you can do is measure the percentage of team members that are part of special projects outside their team. So basically, special projects are a great way to get discovered by other teams and a great way to build your internal network within the company. A manager that is talent hoarding would be likely to hold back their directs from joining special teams, special projects outside of their team because they'll be afraid of that person being discovered. If you measure the percentage of team members in each team that are partake in special projects, you'd like to identify the managers that are systematically holding team members back. You should have an independent process to assess employees who are ready for promotion. This process should involve more than just the manager, but also the manager's peers and even the person's peers themselves. So you can identify managers that have less than average percentage of employees engaging in training programs, because training programs again are things that can lead eventually to an employee getting promoted or moving to a different area of the company. So managers that are afraid and engaging in talent hoarding are likely to not approve participation in such training programs. And finally, one thing that you should definitely be doing is automatically push job openings to all employees. There are companies where internal job openings get shared from the very top, kind of disseminated down, and each manager can choose whether to share them with their team or not. If that's the case, talent hoarding hiring manager could easily make the choice to just not share those down with his team to avoid losing them. Much better would be to internally post, so job openings be visible to all internal employees. I hope this was helpful. Thank you.